demo I have to share with you all is one that I spotted that sounded really interesting. Kind of more on like the folklore-y mystery part of things, but with a little spooky flair, I'd feel, is another visual novel style game that intrigued me as far as its premise, when it came to its premise rather, and that game being, you get all the capture stuff in. Come on. Is it not gonna? There it goes. Death and Faeology. So this demo is featuring the Grading first-year assignments can be such an exercise in patience. I had to remind myself that Faeology is a relatively recent science, only a couple of decades old. This university, the only Faeology university in the whole country, was just finished being built in 1905. It is still barely acknowledged in the academic field. I'm turning those sound effects down. They are a little loud. There we go. More importantly, I've got to keep in mind that children inherit their parents' prejudices and misconceptions. The human world has formed its own notion of fairies. Alas, I find myself unable to suppress a big sigh every time I read references to poisoned apples ushering princesses into eternal sleep. A reference to the Cottingley fairies is one I can understand, since it was quite the sensation not too long ago. Although it would be clear in the eyes of renowned Faeologists that the photographs are mere imitations. A pity that Sir Doyle was taken in by it. I ought to take a break. The grading session today has me taken quite a tangent, or has taken me quite a tangent. My beloved Oz. I suppose having a fairy companion does not give one an advantage in identifying genuine fairies. I already really like the artwork here. I'd say a break is in order. Wouldn't you, Oz? Oz responds through thrills that I've learned to interpret over the decades I've known them. The Cottingley fairies again? Yes, and Princess's eternal slumber due to poisoned apples. We don't care much for human princesses, but making poisoned apples is rather an easy feat. Shall I turn one of them into a toad in front of the whole class to show that Fae folk is capable of more than that? At the same time, showing them that not all fairies are a friendly bunch? I can't help but chuckle at the thought. I believe some might just quit the same day if you do that. Besides, if other Faeologists get a hold of your existence, who knows what they'll do to you. Chances are high those people will try to pin you to a corkboard and vivisect you. I would never let that happen. I've always appreciated your pursuing a Faeology to ensure that. This is the least I could do. We've known each other since I was 7. You saved me countless times since then. Well, you could have let me bleed to death when you found me. I would never. I can hear a delightful melody of chirps laced with a touch of whimsy, which makes me feel just a tad fizzy. It seems that even the laugh of a fairy possesses some magical quality. While you're on a break, isn't there something else on your agenda this afternoon? Right, Mr. Henkel's letter. Thanks for reminding me. I retrieve the letter from my patron from a desk drawer. I lean back on my chair and read the missive out loud to myself. Dear Will, how long are you going to keep me in suspense? Will you or will you not accompany me to this year's Louis Gala? You could do a lot worse than forgetting your boring books for a moment in favor of whiling away an evening with champagne and canopies? Yeah, canopies and invigorating company. And when I say invigorating, I'm not speaking of those old sods with deep pockets ready to be exploited by way of funding grants for your research. I'm speaking, of course, of yours truly. Do write to me sometime before Saturday. That's tomorrow's date, isn't it? Oh, I know. My delay in responding is entirely by design, I assure you. I'd hate to be getting the looks from the crowd like I'm a wet blanket. Faeology isn't worth my dough, they'd say. Oz replying chirp is decidedly indignant. I nod to Oz in agreement before returning to Mr. Heckle's letter. Or Henkel's. In other news, I've heard that little Ruthie Blythe caused a minor ruckus in the city's hottest speakeasy. If your old friend Detective Krause hadn't been in the area at the time as well, who knows what could have happened? I find myself rather perturbed at this revelation. I would have telephoned Ruthie and asked what the story was, like when we were children. However, for better or for worse, we aren't on friendly terms anymore. I resume reading my patron's letter. Speaking of the detective, have the two of you been keeping in contact? He gave me the cold shoulder when I crossed paths with him at last week's benefit. I couldn't help assuming that his persistently frosty treatment of me might have had something to do with you. It's unfortunate that the extensive bonds you have with him should end in a rather bitter taste. As you have told me more than once, when it was good, there was nothing else quite like it. Yet you speak very little of him now, and I find myself wondering if he still holds a place in that guarded heart of yours. The letter is signed, yours everlasting, Oscar Henkel. Well, I've kept Mr. Henkel waiting long enough. I press a pen to a fresh sheet of paper to commence crafting a response. Just then, a familiar rhythmic tapping pierces the silence. I glance in the direction of Oz, but they are nowhere to be seen. Oz must have camouflaged themselves in a heartbeat. I put Mr. Henkel's letter in the drawer before calling out. Come in, Minnie. My assistant enters the office. She's careful to snap the door shut behind her. Professor? Yes, Minnie? Were you talking to yourself again? That's right, you know me. I see. Sometimes I wonder what she must have thought while hearing the mumbling sounds of me speaking with Oz. But she knows when not to poke her nose into things. One of the things I like about her, and also what makes her the bee's knees when it comes to being an assistant. I'd hate to be the bearer of bad news, but he's here. Who? That police detective from the newspaper. Police detective? Even as I echo those words, there's a sinking feeling in my stomach. The man who made you crumple the papers and toss them into the trash can? In the end, we had to stop our subscription for the dailies. Detective Theodore Krause. Yes, that's the one. Knowing Theo is here makes my world go momentarily off kilt. It's as if by the magic of the fairy tales I am malign. The ink in my patron's letter had manifested him into the reception area. Can't you tell him I'm out delivering a lecture on the far side of the campus or something? That depends. Is a lie like that going to deter this man? An astute question. She is truly wise beyond her years. Probably not. He'd happily traverse the entire campus just to torment me, I'm guessing. All right, let him in. With a brisk nod, Minnie returns to the reception area. I barely have time for a steadying breath before Theo barges in. He drops a box on my desk right off the bat. What is this? Why is he in my office? Well, look who the cat dragged in. Not even a how do you do? What? Do niceties suddenly mean something to you? I seem to recall you packing your bags and moving out with so much as a goodbye. There was no one to say goodbye to. Didn't you find out I only left a few days later? At least it made it easy for you to leave, didn't it? There is a tinge of hurt in his voice that I'm only able to pick up because we lived together for several months. As my mouth struggles to catch the words hanging in the air, I feel the piercing icy silence. Wow, I could not get those words out. Creeping in. I ought to break the silence before I freeze. What's in the box? He lets out a deep sigh that rather sounds like relief. Your things that somehow you didn't take with you when you left. Even that oddly crafted handkerchief you loved so much. That handkerchief was a gift for you. I see the corner of his mouth twitch. He's lying. What should I do with this information? I quickly stretch out my hand to the box, yet he is just as fast in catching my wrist before I can open it. I withdraw my hand from his grip swiftly, like a startled bird soaring into the sky. But that truly caught me off guard. I'd forgotten what his hand feels like. I was only kidding, although you really haven't changed much, have you? You just went straight for it. He sounds amused and slightly pleased, as if he just confirmed the accuracy of one of his deductions. Neither of you. I threw all of it away right after you vanished. He says with a subtle squint in his left eye, another lying tell of his. I can't help but sigh at his antics. Of course he did. So what's really in the box? Wanna take a guess? I do have an idea. Knowing him, he'd sooner face the whole Al Capone gang by himself than take their bullets before coming to visit me. This must be way more important than our poignant history. Case evidence? I've seen boxes like this one before, but never one quite so large. Is it really? It's a really big case, isn't it? He nods. The biggest of my career. And come to me of all people? You must be at your wit's end about this. He looks away as if trying to hide how galling the circumstances at hand are. Truth be told, I'd rather face the whole Al Capone gang and take their bullets than to see you again. Gee, that stings a little. So why would you... Hold on a minute. You think this has some sort of connection to fairies? He flicks his tongue in exasperation. Oh my, it seems I've hit the bullseye. We stopped talking about fairies at some point when we were still together. Those talks always led to a heated discussion and then into arguments because nothing I could say could change his skepticism towards mystical beings. This is certainly the chance to tease him about it, though it might be unwise considering the emotional peril he must have gone through to get here. What should I do next? I know this must be hard for you, but I can't help it if you don't say anything. He sighs. You're right. As difficult as it is to admit, the things you've told me before about fairies and whatnot might have helped to make some sense of this case. But I have to say, for the sake of my sanity, I still don't believe they exist. Fair enough. He appears pleasantly surprised by my answer, as though he was expecting a quarrel right around the corner. Little did he know, I've learned that it's moot to try to explain the otherworldly beings to him. So what makes this case so significant? Why do you think it relates to fairies? Are you even allowed to tell me? I hear the sounds of a chuckle under the breath like a bolt from the blue. For a brief moment, his gaze on mine seems to revert to how it used to be, until the seriousness returns to his face. First things first. I'm leading the investigation. I do have some discretion on what details to divulge and to whom. That is, if the confidant can bring value to the investigation. And I've known you for a fact that you can be discreet. Still, I must ask your sworn secrecy on this matter. You got it. So tell me about the case. Why does it seem to be of paramount importance? It's a multiple murder case, potentially perpetrated by a single culprit. The victims are chiefly middle-aged women residing north of the city. They're from old money families, the types that make regular appearances at high society events. I see. No wonder you're all tensed up. You're telling me. Chief took me off every other case and insisted I put all my time and effort into this. It's only a matter of time until the press catches wind and makes a circus of everything. And with some of the victims' peculiar manners of death... He pauses. This is where the fairies came in? He silently stares and then sighs. I swear I must be losing my mind. I mean... Yeah, yeah, buddy, you're losing your mind. ACAB and all that. You've got this. He draws in a long, deep breath. 3 of the victims had a manner of death that the unit has never seen or heard of before. The strangest case is the one where the body seemingly hardened into bony tissue overnight. Her corpse almost looked like a carved wooden statue.
Oh, I've heard of something like that before.
Of course you have.
I frown at him. Don't start now.
Clears his throat abashedly. Without finding out what caused these deaths, and more importantly, who did this, the press could spin the stories out of control. I don't want to imagine the looks on victims' families' faces if and when the papers are making a razz of these poor women's deaths. Besides, what kind of depraved, sick bastard goes around murdering women in such a way? The city's already running on fumes, crimes becoming more rampant day by day. People shouldn't have to look over their shoulders every night. It's no way to live.
Even as he lapses into silence, I say nothing. It's not just the city. The rise in crime is bleeding him dry too. Yet I'm unsure of what words could soothe those who are fighting it on the front line. It's never been where they are. The frown lies between his eyebrows The frown line between his eyebrows grows deeper.
You know, considering the victim's background, having these murders be exaggerated in papers would pressure the families to insisting on closing the case as soon as possible. No matter the cost. No matter who's to blame. ACAB. They'd probably pin it on some poor person that's just not related to incapacity. ACAB.
You're right. Innocent people are going to bear the brunt for this. This is a terrible situation. I feel my stomach churning. My arms cross on instinct, trying to hold my own disquietude?
I've never seen that version of it.
Disquietude in place. Is there anything you can do?
I'm just one man. Try as I might, I can't keep those rotten police brass from lining their pockets. Nothing but a pack of lowlives in high places.
He exhales sharply, his voice laced with contempt. Then he fell into silence yet again. Similarly, words seem to have abandoned me, but I can't shake this feeling of helplessness crawling under my skin. After a minute, he meets my eyes once more.
Well, you're a good listener. Better than most.
He curls his lips into an almost smile. I don't mind it at all.
Thanks. He clears his throat once more. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. This box includes case files, crime scene photos, a couple of blood samples, which I was able to request to bring to you, and several other pieces of evidence. Other than the average manners of death I've said, forensics was puzzled too by the blood samples.
How so?
One of them doesn't contain iron.
That's interesting.
Nothing surprises you, doesn't it?
Well, about this peculiarity. I'd bring up something from my fairy books, but you'd always find a way to deny it.
You're right about that. I'm still investigating the possibility of unknown drugs or poison that somehow cause the oddities. But I'd be a fool to not go after my hunches and look into all possibilities.
What about robbery?
It's ruled out. No fingerprints, no evidence of breaking in. Nothing had been stolen.
Any motives? Revenge?
We're still intervening the city's elites, looking for the possible motives. But it takes time. You know this.
Yes, of course. They're very busy. Speaking of city elites, I know people who can be very helpful in getting some inside information. His expression turns sour at full tilt.
Who, that man?
I said people, but yes, that man would be particularly helpful in this matter. He scoffs brazenly and doesn't even try to hide it. Even at the first meeting with Mr. Hinkle, there was some inexplicable tension between the two. Theo said something about Mr. Hinkle feeling off and always hated it whenever I had something to do with him. Though it might just be jealousy in disguise. You know I'm right. Even if he's barely in the newspapers, he's most likely at the pinnacle of high society. And I doubt he'll mind if I ask him a few things about this.
Why, of course. He's always got a soft spot for you. He's probably carrying a torch for you for a long time, judging by the way he follows you everywhere.
Well, he happened to be interested in Faeology and has a lot of money to allow its development.
Look at you, all ready to defend him. What, are you two an item now?
I might have steered this reunion right back to where we were months ago by bringing up Mr. Hinkle. But it was necessary to mention him. I don't know anybody else who would have that much information about high society. Besides, there has never really been anything, even if we did go to fundraising events together from time to time. It was strictly business. Yet again, Theo seems to lose his reason whenever we talk about Mr. Hinkle. I don't have the time or energy to argue with him. What should I do? See reason. Does it matter? You came here despite everything. You knew you've got to do whatever it takes to solve this case, so do it. He's taken aback by what I said and plunges into his own thoughts.
I swear, one of these days you'll be the end of me. Fine. Just make sure he can't keep it under. Make sure he can keep it under his hat.
I sigh in relief. I will. While we're on the subject of useful allies, you mentioned before about blood that doesn't contain iron. I can take the blood samples to the university's chemist. She's good at what she does. And she's from a rich family. She might know some of the victims or their families at least.
I'll trust your judgment. I take it this is you agreeing to help with the case?
That's right. There are lives at stake. He let out a soft smile, as though in quiet agreement with what I said.
Thank you. Well, if you think it'll be helpful, you can even ask the people you mentioned what they know using evidence items. But the case files are for your eyes only.
Understood. He has fallen silent somehow, leaving an uncomfortable hush in the air once more. Suddenly, a realization comes to mind. Does this mean you'd be willing to hear about fairies? About Faeology?
That depends. If this was indeed fairy doings, and through your investigation you can provide solid theories on 3 things: the culprit, their method of murder, and their motives. Supported by evidence, of course. I'm sticking with the idea that there's a logical explanation, an earthly one for now.
Fair enough.
I'd wager that we have approximately 24 hours to get some sort of answer. An answer that makes sense.
Oh, so no pressure.
I can feel the papers are close to getting the story. While you're investigating this lead, I'll look further into usual drugs and poisons. Or unusual drugs and poisons. How about it, Faeologist? Do you dare take on this challenge?
Do I? Bring it on, detective. This brings a grin to his almost consistent brooding expression.
Good. If you need anything from me, just ring me.
Aye, sir. But you need to promise me that you'll not just hear me out, but also keep an open mind on fairy topics if I succeed in what you asked.
I promise. But I can't promise not to scoff from time to time.
That's good enough.
Ought to get going. Maybe this will be an opportunity for you to increase Faeology's credibility in the eyes of the academics.
Maybe. Seems like some detective has been following the tiny part of Faeology in the newspaper.
Says you. The one who had to stop the daily paper subscription just because some detective kept getting the headlines.
How do you... Before I could finish, he had walked towards the door and opened it.
See you tomorrow around the same time.
I hear the door close. Hey! I exclaimed with a hint of frustration. After some thought, I realized that he must have noticed the missing newspaper on my desk and my assistant's. Reading papers was part of my daily routine when we were together. I can only shake my head in disbelief. He hasn't changed much either. As I'm reminiscing about a few moments of our past relationship, Oz reveals themselves again now that we're all alone.
That was quite the reunion.
It was quite the reunion indeed. He hasn't changed at all, has he?
I suppose. Although you don't have an obligation to help him.
I know, but I've already agreed.
Very well, just don't overwork yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Oz. I find myself slowly drifting into thoughts. A victim's manner of death, hardening into bony tissue, could be one of the fairy curses. Ossification. If only I could ask Oz whether a fairy was behind this, and which one. But it's not that simple. Even if they are my longtime companion, fairies have their own rules about exchanging favors. And they are secretive about their land, too. A favor like that doesn't come cheap. At least I'm stocked up on milk and honey for small requests. Speaking of requests, I should get started on a reply to my patron's letter. For some reason, he seems to be more insistent this time that I come with him to the gala. I retrieve a paper and pen and I mumble to myself as I write. Dear Mr. Henkel, I hope your recent forays into high society have proven more fruitful than they have in... Should I be hyperbolic? No, realistic. More fruitful than they have in half a decade or so you've been alive. Believe it or not, I have been considering whether the merits of trying to impress the wealthiest folk of the city outweigh the obvious indignities. You first brought up the possibility of my accompanying you to the annual Louis Gala a couple months ago, and I'm still weighing my options. How do I want to play this? Be apologetic. I still don't have a definitive answer for you at present, I'm afraid. I sincerely apologize for my indecisiveness. About Ruthie, I can't say I'm surprised to hear about her latest flirtations with disaster. Since we were both toddlers, she frequently found herself in trouble. Her fiery personality certainly doesn't help her get out of quarrels. I would love to telephone her and ask how she's doing, but we drifted apart a long time ago. Nevertheless, I'm glad to hear that Theo was there to smooth things over for her. I've now arrived at the topic of Theo, or Detective Krause as my patron refers. I suppose his query was meant to uncover whether I still care for Theo. How should I answer? You know, old news. After Theo, I've long since stopped dwelling on him. I've thought of him, and I thought of him in... I need water. A lot of this reading, dehydration, water, need, better reading. I've thought of him and I as a relic of the past, and I feel no regret in having ended it when I did. Upon signing off, I seal the letter with wax. Then I turn towards my trusted Fae. Oz, can I please trouble you with something? You want me to deliver this letter to your patron, don't you? Indeed. Time is of the essence here. As always, please take care not to catch anybody's attention. He'll see it by tomorrow morning, I'm sure. It would be my pleasure. Thank you, Oz. I'm off. I'll see you later today. I watch as Oz flits out of my office window and vanishes. Once the Fae is gone, I call my assistant to my office. Yes, Professor? Hold on a second. I rifle through the contents of the box. Carefully, I extract the blood samples that Theo mentioned. They appear to be stored in test tubes. Would you mind asking Dr. Rayford to analyze these blood samples? I'll do that, sure. As I hand the samples to her, I notice that she looks like she wants to say something. Over the 2 years we have been working together, I've picked up on a few of her tells. What is it, Minnie? How did it go with the detective, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, no, not at all. He's the same as always. There's lingering beef, of course. We've still sort of managed to put it aside for something more important. He has brought me a rather insignificant case that he suspects might have some supernatural elements, as hard as it was for him to admit. Oh, good for him. I can't help but grin at her remark. I'm glad it didn't end in a shouting match, at least. Yes, me too. I'll deliver the blood samples now, Professor. Thank you, Minnie. Minnie hurries out. I'm alone in my office again. Remembering the conversation about the case, I'm suddenly engulfed by inexplicable, eerie feelings. I should start the investigation right away. Drag and drop for the inventory. Select an item in the records
conflicts. Okay, so this is like, wow, this is a lot of lore to put down. Residents to drop off an invitation shortly prior to the victim's death. The friend also wanted to check on the victim's well-being as she had allegedly been acting strangely at a party the night before. According to the friend, she witnessed an emotionally charged conversation between the victim and a young factory girl. However, the friend didn't
victim's fingers. Yeah, there's like extra fingers on there. Need to see. Let's see, Fae and insects. So one had arsenic, one gnawing her fingers, one turned to a bony substance, and the other had some, the other was obsessed with drinking her own blood. Some Faeologists have applied Darwin's theory of animal selection to the Fae kind by putting them in the same genealogical line as insects, especially the Lepidoptera group, which includes moths and butterflies. This is supported by their similarities to each other. Beneath a special black light, some species of butterflies can glow by having a chemical known as phosphorus, which fairies also have. Okay, so I would need the black light to use. The similarities of fairy kind to insects, as well as birds and others in the animal kingdom. All right, well, ad break's starting, so just noticed it. 3 minutes of ads, hour of no pre-rolls, and then we'll continue this investigation. BRB, everybody. Get yourself some water, stretch, do whatever you need to do. All right, we are back. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Okay. So I'm gonna have to read through this to sort of get a grasp on what the game's expecting me to use for tools. Magical abilities. One magical skill possessed by some Fae is Transfiguration, which is similar to Metamorphosis. Wielders of transfigurative spells make themselves or fellow Fae take on other forms, including appearing human. Many high Faes have heightened powers of suggestion through the emission of toxins capable of causing hypnosis or illusion. Although quite rare, some high Faes can transform living beings into solid objects such as stone or bone. Okay, yeah. Okay, so a higher, like a Fae with really high powers is at work here. Another example of Fae magic is invisibility, which is similar to camouflage. There may be other types of magical powers that have not yet been documented. And Fae factions and conflict. There are two main factions of high Fae, the Scribes and the Warriors. The Scribes are known for their defensive magic and their intelligence. The Warriors are known for their power and their offensive magic. Meanwhile, the low Fae faction is comprised of Faes with limited parasitic magic. They are a widely maligned species that like to consume human blood, hormones, or even souls. Okay, so maybe a Scribe was the one that did the blood one. The history of Fae class conflict is not very well documented. It appears that there are quarrels between these factions, and there is a certain level of disdain for the other faction. However, disputes also occur between fairies of the same faction. Nonetheless, those factions of high Fae deem parasites despicable. Nonetheless, both factions of high Fae deem parasites despicable. Low Fae do the limited and parasitic nature of their magic. All fairy kind seem to be weak against iron, although a small amount of iron, as such as meat or blood, does not seem to ward off fairies. Historically, cold iron was often forged as weapons and used to repel fairy magic. The intricate use of iron combined with physics and chemistry is applied by Faeologists to develop a special black light to detect and distinguish the magical essence of the three main types of Fae. Beneath the black light, scribe magic appears blue, warrior magic red, and parasitic magic purple or violet. Sustained blacklight illumination on any object imbued with fairy magic may reveal intricate details of certain complex spells. I see. Scribe fairies. The scribe are high faes who are capable of expressing benevolence and kindness that is similar to humans' kindness and tend to be friendlier to humans. However, this kindness is only shown in the form of favor exchanges, and they do not go out of their way to help others like humans would. The scribe magic that assists humans is contingent upon the favor that the humans deliver to them. Oh, so if you like give a fairy, if you give a scribe fairy $5 to help them get, or give them like $15 to help fill up their car because they have a long drive going up, they'll like either give you $15 back, or they'll, I don't know, pay for like a short lunch or something. Like just like they'll pay for like a fast food trip.
For example, some scribe fae may use their magic to give blessings to humans who have done very special favors or boons for them by inheritable, invisible markings such as sigils or birthmarks. These blessings can last through generations. The rumored fae touch bloodlines have become wealthy and powerful through the never mind. So it's like, you gave me $15 to help me fill up my car with gas. I bestow this mark upon the next like 5 generations of your family. They will now only encounter shiny Pokemon through all of their playthroughs, or they're going to what's a good one? Oh, they'll always be given the first pick of getting a good brownie out of a brownie plate or platter. There you go. There's the boon. Let's see, these blessings can last through generations. The rumor fae-touched bloodlines have become wealthy and powerful through the decades that they have been favored. However, they may also use their magic as a curse, sometimes even deadly, if they feel offended or insulted. Some scribe fairies are also prone to pranks and mischief when they are bored. And then warrior fairies. The high faes of the warrior faction frequently reside in groups and are territorial. They are protective of their troops and tend to be unfriendly towards outsiders, especially if they come from the scribe factions or are human. They will smite anyone who interferes with their group. Humans entering their territory, even if accidentally, may face elimination through the warrior's offensive magic. Although fairy warriors typically remain within their own kind and seldom venture beyond the boundaries of the fairy realm, they are known for their aggressive temperament and volatile disposition. Caution is strongly advised when encountering and interacting with these beings. And parasitic fairies. Fairies with limited magic consistently need to feed off other sources of energy, mostly drained from humans, such as blood, hormones, emotions, and life force. Oh, so maybe it's a parasitic. However, the mechanisms and rates at which these drainages processes occur are greatly varied. Notable incident, changeling. There are unconfirmed rumors that some high faes like to capture humans and bring them into the fairyland for purposes such as forced reproduction, servitude, ritualized combat for their amusement, and so on. The fairies leave changelings behind to mask their absence. Yeah, this is a pretty famous this is a very famous folk tale thing, I think, from Celtic mythology. A changeling is composed of several faes, typically of the parasitic type, magically transformed to look almost exactly like an abducted human. Due to the complexity of the fae magic required to create a changeling, the enchantment almost goes awry. Anomalies common among changelings include an extra finger, or an extra toe. Nearby heat conductors, such as small metallic objects, have also been known to repel so 2 of them that are dead. Contains iron, so victim 4, so she's human. She's Edna is a changeling. Does not contain iron. Does not contain iron. Things down. A knock on the door makes me glance up from my desk. I realize the sun has set while I've been absorbed in the investigation. Come in. My assistant enters the office. Dr. Rayford has arrived to drop off the blood samples, and she wants to talk with you. Already? Yes, she's just out the door. I must say, I'm pleasantly surprised at her work speed. All right, send her in. Minnie nods. She returns to the reception area. Dr. Florence Rayford enters. It has been only 3 years since she has worked at this university, but she has proven her reliability more often than not. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Doctor. Dr. Rayford hands over the blood samples. She also gives me her lab report. Here you go. Thank you. So what have you found? The most peculiar thing is that there is no iron in one of the blood samples. Say, is this fairy related? Her question prompts me to ask myself to what extent of this case can I divulge to her. Theo did say that I may ask the patron for her for information using some of the evidence. Although she has knowledge of fairies and their curses, can she handle seeing crime scene photographs? As I return from my thoughts, I notice her voice has taken on a higher pitch. This is so exciting! Are you working with the police? Does this mean that we'll get better credibility in the eyes of the public? Oh my, we're going to be in the newspapers, aren't we? And not the usual corner spots, too. Oh, I can hardly contain myself. It appears she took my silence as a yes. It's good that she's excited about the possibility of advancement for Faeology, but her cheerful disposition can sometimes be rather overstimulating. As if on cue, a knock on the door arrives to spare me. This specific sounds familiar. More familiar than when my assistant knocks. Special delivery. Mr. Henkel's hands are empty. And what, pray, might you be bringing for me? Is it you? Are you the special delivery, Mr. Henkel? If you wish to call me special, then I certainly won't stop you. But I did bring a box of huckleberry muffins for your office. Minerva was insistently enamored by their buttery scent. She's currently feasting on them. I can only hope she'll leave a muffin apiece for the rest of us. Oh, hello there, Florence. I didn't expect to see you in this office. Hello, Mr. Henkel. Fancy seeing you here. Although you do have a habit of making this office your sole stop on campus. She chuckles. That's just because this is where all my money went. A well-spent investment, nonetheless. He makes a retort at Dr. Rayford, but throws a subtle smile in my direction. How cheeky. So, Florence, what's been occupying your time as of late? She looks at me briefly, possibly wondering whether she should tell him about what she did for me.
Usual matters, I suppose.
I tried asking your father about you at the last soiree. However, he confessed he didn't have the faintest idea. You must tell me more about your chemical research one of these days. The colorful pursuits of you young academics thrills me to no end.
You know I can't share all that much, Mr. Henkel. Unless, of course, you find yourself in the position to become the chemistry department's benefactor, then all their secrets are yours. A more playful giggle escapes her lips this time.
I'm afraid I'm all tapped out, financially speaking. I am now out of a cardboard box. I made this suit out of paper mache and permanent marker.
Oh, I'm not buying that one, not for a second. He's telling fibs, isn't he, Professor?
Well, now, I certainly don't want to get in the middle of a money talk of the rich.
I wish I had that information, Doctor. It would make proposing for research much easier, with a bit of delicate leveraging, naturally.
Mr. Henkel laughs in amusement. I feel I should ask the reason he's here before this conversation takes an odd turn.
On another note, Mr. Henkel, did you get my letter? Is that the real reason you dropped by? Upon recalling that I asked Oz to insert the letter into his mailbox only this afternoon, I'm about to retract these questions. Unexpectedly, though, he bows his head in assent.
Your words have always had this immersive impact on me. Perhaps this is why you are such an effective educator. Whenever I encounter your written language, I long to hear it spoken post-haste. Are you putting a spell on your letters by chance?
I think you're the one with all the spells, Mr. Henkel.
The fuck?
Your muffins, for one, have always been successful in getting Minnie's guard down. Oh dear, you two are making me blush. I suppose it's time I take my leave and let you both be. I'm due somewhere shortly, anyhow.
Oh, no, that might not be necessary. I can't stay long either.
Mr. Henkel lapses into silence as he continues staring into my eyes. It's difficult to maintain eye contact with him, but even harder to look away. I wonder what I should do. I ought to discuss the case, but both of them seem to be in a hurry. Should I tell Mr. Henkel to return another day since I need to have an important conversation with Dr. Rayford right away? Or should I dismiss the chemist and meet with my patron now? There are benefits to either choice. Soliciting Dr. Rayford's opinion on the case may be a good idea. She could share more insight on the chemistry side of the case. Her parents own a successful company that produced the powder makeup and evidence. She would also know the social happenings among the wealthy elites. On the other hand, Mr. Henkel is also a viable candidate for an interview. His connections with high society know no bounds. Everybody seems to know him one way or another. He might know things Dr. Rayford doesn't. Since he has been funding my research for a long time, he's also more familiar with fairy topics. Whom should I interview?
Well, considering that the...
Okay, so what we're looking at here is some of these cases are more curse-based as opposed to only one of the cases involved any kind of chemical like arsenic. So it's fair to say that maybe Henkel would be a better choice for narrowing down any kind of the Faeology-based topics here, because one was turning into a bone structure substance, one was gnawing on her own fingers, one was drained of blood, and then the fourth was arsenic poisoning. So I think it's evident that maybe Henkel would be the better topic of this, especially given that there are curses that last generations, and I feel like the game may push me towards that. So Henkel. Mr. Henkel, would you mind staying for a while? I'd like to discuss something.
Not at all, I'd be delighted.
I turned back towards the chemist. Dr. Rayford, thanks again for analyzing these samples. Your assistance has been invaluable. Please don't let me keep you any longer today. You're quite welcome. I'm always happy to help. After bidding Mr. Henkel a swift farewell, Dr. Rayford is out of the door in no time. Sorry, I thought that was me doing it. I was like, huh?
What do you want to talk about, my dear Faeologist?
I gesture toward the large box on my desk. It's a box of evidence for a multiple murder case.
Is it from Detective Kraus?
It is indeed. He brought it to me this morning.
You haven't seen the detective in months, have you? How'd that visit go?
Oh, it's nothing special. There wasn't anything worth mentioning except, of course, about the topic of property in the top priority case I'm tasked with.
I don't know why, but I have an inkling that he's pleased. Was that why Dr. Rayford was here earlier? She had analyzed some biological samples?
That's right, yes.
All right, tell me about the case. How can I help?
After binding my patron to secrecy, I rattle off on basic facts of the homicides.
I believe I might have heard about this case. Not the gory details, mind you. Just little whispers here and there.
Yes, I was hoping you'd be familiar with some of the parties involved. I wanted to show you something. Please share any knowledge you may have about the evidence.
Sure, I can do that.
What is this? Makeup, old coin. Wait, where did these photos come from? Woodridge family. Wait, I didn't see those family photos. Wait, did I miss all of that when I was doing the oh god, did I miss the arrows like an idiot? Oh god. Oh well.
How terrible. I knew Madame Wooldridge. As you undoubtedly know, her family hosts the city's biggest charity events every year. They tell me the fundraiser will be moving forward despite the tragedy in the family. According to my sources, she loved that event dearly and definitely would have wanted it to proceed.
Did you ever know her to dabble in occult matters?
Knowing this woman as I did, I doubt it. It would help, however. I've heard several elites are members of a clandestine occult group. I've only heard the name, the Golden Dawn. Hardly anyone knows about its existence.
But you do have your way of knowing, don't you? I say teasingly, and he responds with a sly smirk.
I do indeed.
Did you know this woman?
I did. She was a fine, upstanding lady. She certainly didn't deserve such a gruesome end. She was known among her peers for her rare coin collection. From what I've heard, you can see her collection displayed in every inch of her house.
Can I go back to my desk? I didn't see the... Fuck. Are you familiar with this girl?
No, I've never seen her before. Whoever this girl is, I expressed my sincerest condolences.
This is a photograph of Mrs. Wooldridge's family.
All the faces here are familiar to me. I must express my deepest sympathies when I see them at the Louis Gala.
Leos? Is it Leos or Lois? Lois? I don't know how to pronounce it. Can you tell me more about the people in this picture?
The Wooldridges are perhaps one of the most prominent and powerful families in the city. The victim's father was in the running to be the richest in the world until he decided to devote much of his wealth to lavish charitable endeavors. This elderly woman is the victim's stepmother, a beautiful socialite for whom the victim's father divorced her biological mother. This younger man is the victim's stepbrother.
Okay. More family photo. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I must have missed somehow the arrow here. That's streamer brain. That is streamer vision right there, where you just miss something right in the UI. This is a photograph of Mrs. Moores and her family. What can you tell me about the people in this picture?
I believe this elderly couple is her adoptive parents. I've never really talked to them, but I hear they are kind, wonderful people. Biologically, Madame Moore was born as a so-called miracle baby to wealthy parents of advanced age. When they passed away, she had no other family members by blood. She was thus adopted by a middle-class couple who were trusted employees of her biological parents, or so I've heard. Upon coming of age, she received her sizable inheritance and wedded a recently rich entrepreneur of humble origins. This is her widower in the photograph. He's said to be extremely close to his parents-in-law.
And then this is probably part of the coin collection that was mentioned, right?
It looks like a rare coin that only collectors would have.
Yeah, so... Yeah, Niblet, Edna.
This is one from that popular brand.
Nectar Bell.
That's the one. Although that's all I know about it. Okay. My, this is very bold of you. Are you sure you want to be bound to me forever?
Says you asking the question knowing full well this ring isn't mine. He laughs wholeheartedly.
So whose is it?
Mrs. Moore.
All I can tell you is that she and her husband were always attached at the hip. 2 peas in a pod.
Okay, then an invitation.
Why are you showing me this invitation? Is this your way of confirming that you'll be my date?
Should I lock it down? Keep him hanging. Rather than confirming or denying anything, I simply flash an enigmatic smile.
Still playing hard to get, I see.
And then,
oh, I see. This is interesting indeed. I can see why the detective came to you with this case. I'm sure Florence knows more than I do when it comes to analyzing biological samples.
Okay, and that's kind of all I've got. That's it. That's kind of everything. Photography consists of family members, victims, biological father, stepmother, and stepbrother. How do I move on? Is that everything? That's everything that I have. Yeah. Okay, well, 5 o'clock, formal attire. Notable closeness between the second victim and her husband. Okay, well, I'm finished. There's nothing else that he can tell me. So how do I move on from this? Only collector would have. Rare coin collection from her displayed in her house. Well, that's kind of it. I've got everything from him that I could get. How do I move on? Yeah, and I have no saves from earlier than here, so I'm... That's all he knows about that. Peas in a pod, yeah. So that's it on that front. I don't see a spot in the UI where I can just be like, hey, I'm done asking him questions now. Unless I missed something, but that's kind of it. Yeah, there's a UI thing. I'm not seeing where I'm supposed to find this. I save here. Yeah, I'm not sure what is left for me to really do.
because I'm liking the hook and everything. Problem is that I don't know where I'm supposed to look next for. I like to get back to my desk so I can continue my investigation. But I think what happened was, due to me not looking at everything, maybe I might have missed something. So yeah. So I might have made a mistake here, because yeah, what might be the problem is ah, shit. All right, well, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna fast forward. If fixing that will do it, then I think that, because I'm not sure what I'm missing there as far as I'm not sure what I'm missing when it came to the missing stuff there. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip through this whole thing and try again about okay. So now that Yep, I'm a dumbass. I just missed this whole left section here. Wow, good job, Will. All right, well, now that I know that, I'll save. Thankfully, it's easy to at least skip over where it's easy enough for me to, return back to here without any problems. So I'll just skip through all the old stuff that I went through already. And yeah, so it was my own fault because I didn't check to the left further on this. Like, that's me. That is on me. The UI is good in terms of showing this. I just completely streamer brained away from that. The texture looks interesting. So it's burned away slightly because it's like some kind of curse or spell. Oh, I've seen this before. Maybe it needs to be like dead center? Or maybe I need the mag. Yeah. So in that case, let's go ahead and we'll read through this again. Like, at the very least, I was able to get back to this point pretty easily, so that's good. Okay. I'm going to try this again, and if I get stuck on how I'm supposed to continue again, then I may just call it on that, because something clearly in the UI, I'm clearly missing something on how to continue. Okay. And you all have your little dialogue. Let's talk to Rayford. Dr. Rayford, would you mind staying a little longer? I'd like to hear your opinion about something. Dr. Rayford glances at me and then Mr. Henkel, and then back at me with a glimmer of mischief in her smile. Are you sure, Professor? I let out a resigned sigh. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to deal with her teasing. Yes. When I address my patron once more, regret colors my tone. Mr. Henkel, would you mind coming back another day? I have something crucial to discuss with the doctor at present. Of course, I understand your scientific pursuits precedes all else. I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for dropping off those muffins. He only replies with a smile. I'll see you soon, right? As soon as possible, I promise. Mr. Henkel and Dr. Rayford exchange brief goodbyes. My patron then departs. I'm alone with the chemist again. Doctor, I might need your further assistance regarding the blood samples, and also something more pressing. So it's true, you are working with the police. I suppose. Detective Krause consulted me this morning about an ongoing criminal case. Oh? Do I just sense an old flame flickering back to life? Your eyes are tricking you, Doctor. It has been ashes for a long time now, and nothing has changed. There's a hint of disbelief in her eyes, but I won't indulge in her playful teasing, and as there is a more important matter at hand. I clear my throat. So I would also like to ask you for information, as you may be acquainted with some of the victims and their families and friends. All right. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you, although I do need your sworn secrecy on this, of course. I'm adept at keeping secrets. You need not worry. Those samples I analyzed are part of the evidence in this case, right? That's right. Let us begin. I tell her the fundamental facts of the case while she listens silently all the while. When I finish my summation, she only has one word to say to me. Interesting. There's no sound to be heard as she stares at the photograph for a little while. I wonder if it's too much for her. Is this Mrs. Wooldridge? It's a little difficult to recognize her because of the... Well... She speaks with her usual sunny lilt, which is quite surprising. I guess she has got a strong stomach. Yes, you're correct. What do you know of her? Everyone knows her and her family, that's pretty sure. They're one of the richest in the city, the elites of the elites. Accordingly, their circle consists only of very selective people, such as your patron, I imagine. Oh, and their family likes to host charity events. Did you ever know her to dabble in occult matters? Unfortunately, what I told you previously is all I know about her. If she did dabble, do you think maybe her manner of death is a result of occult matters? It is certainly a possibility. Susan Moore? Mrs. Moore. She seems to recognize the victim quite fast. We've met once or twice at a clothing store and exchanged a few pleasantries. Occasionally, I would see her and her husband at various dinner parties as well. They were a lovely couple. Okay, and then Edna. Oh, yes, I know her, although I can't seem to recall her name. Mrs. Niblet. That's right. I saw her quite often at the auction, only going for rare coins. As usual, the winning bid was hers. I wonder if some of those coins carried some sort of curse. They came from God knows where. Or since they came from God knows where. Well, funny thing you say that. Do you happen to know this girl? Unfortunately, no, I don't know her. Surprising that she seemed rather unfazed by quite the gruesome photographs. I wonder if she had seen worse deaths caused by chemicals. Although, even if I had seen worse, I doubt I could muster such cheer. I never realized this peculiar side of her. And then... This is a family photograph of the Wooldridges. Ah, yes, it was everywhere in the papers when her family married the famous and one of the most beautiful socialites. The other man here is Mr. Wooldridge's stepbrother. Do you know anything about these people?
Aside from being fabulously wealthy and well-known, not particularly. Okay. This is Mrs. Moore and her family. Could you tell me what you know of them? Well, I've heard that when Mrs. Moore's biological parents passed away, she was adopted by her parents' trusted employees from whom she received a lot of love. These employees couldn't have children, you see. Her biological parents left her a substantial inheritance, which she received when she came of age. She was married, out of love, to a wealthy entrepreneur. They were hand in hand wherever they went. It's a sad thing. Her luck seemed to slip away just when she needed it most. Dr. Rayford seems to know more about Mrs. Moore than she let on earlier. While she sounds quite sympathetic, I can somehow sense a hint of jealousy in her voice. And that would explain the mark on her hand. She has a scribe mark on her left hand in the photo here. So that would mean like, oh shit. So she ran into a lot of good fortune from the inheritance, finding her perfect match of a husband, and then she dies suddenly. And markings on the hands of two people. Markings on the hand of one person. On here, and then these two. Families, victims, yeah. Yeah. So then next is the parasite. A dead bug? Is this part of the evidence? Okay, so she doesn't know it's a parasite, Faye. Makeup. My parents' greatest achievement. It's one of the things I wanted to ask you, Doctor. I don't know much about makeup. How popular is this powder among the high society? The powder has been the craze lately among the upper class since my parents have successfully gotten Mary Pickford to do its advertisement. Well, I'll be. Okay. Oh, yeah, see, there's a big end interview here, so I don't know what was different about Henkel. Again, I think it might have been because I didn't investigate everything here. My, are you proposing to me, Professor? I'm afraid my heart still belongs to my late husband. I can hear sorrow seeping through her peppy voice. Quietly, I slip the ring back into the box. I've done my best to put all the details there, although I might have missed something regarding the curious blood sample. And then the invitation. This is tomorrow's gala. I'll not be going since the opera is playing. I didn't know you were into opera, Doctor. My late husband and I used to go there for one of our date nights. Sadness leaks through her eyes even though her smile stays bright. I hadn't the faintest she'd been married before. Speaking of which, I spotted Detective Krauss at the Met during last month's performance. He appeared to be enjoying the opera, accompanied by an attractive, tall blonde woman. It was quite the unexpected sight. I never took him for an admirer of opera. Well, that's a new one on me. Alright, Edna's blood. Ah yes, the most intriguing piece of evidence. It's weird, isn't it, that it doesn't contain iron at all, even though it looks just like human blood. Not to mention the high percentage of phosphorus. Would you let me know if it ended up being a fairy after all? Only if I'm allowed. Is there any insight from chemistry as to why there would be no iron in a red-colored blood? Sadly, no. I'm just as puzzled myself. And then Mary Hatcher. She had iron in her blood because she's human. I found traces of arsenic in this blood sample. I found traces of arsenic. Yes, that was reported by the forensics team too. No wonder. One wonders who could have done such a thing to the poor girl. Actually, the chemists do sell arsenic to common people to make their own weed killer and rat poison. I haven't done that in some time, not since the university contract. But I'm sure that the detective, he has asked his henchmen to collect purchase records from all chemists all over the city, don't you think? Alright, and that's everything. I have no further questions. I believe I have enough information for now. Also, ad break starting in 4 minutes. Is that so? Well, alright. Earlier, you mentioned you had a prior arrangement, so I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for your time. You've been incredibly helpful. It's no problem. Don't hesitate to reach out if you require anything else. I gave her a brief nod. Dr. Rayford then departs from my office. I'm alone again, but not for long. My assistant pops into the office. Professor, I'm heading home soon. Is there anything else I can do to help? Nope, I'll be perfectly fine.
Think I'll stay and work for a little bit longer. Okay, see you tomorrow, Professor. Have a safe trip home. Upon wishing me the same, Minnie leaves. I like the character art, it's very nice. I have some time until I have to wrap up my workday and head home from the office.
It's the next afternoon. I should be grading assignments, or reviewing the lecture I'm going to deliver come Monday, or do anything productive in the realm of professorial duty. That's a weird word. Instead, I find my attention straying more and more towards the office door. I voice my frustrations to good old Oz. Theo will probably arrive any moment. Can't stop wondering whether my explanation will be enough for him. In the past, no sort of explanation ever seemed to please him when it came to fairies. And why should it do so now? My voice cracks with concern. This time, he came to you bearing in mind the possibility of fairy involvement. He'd be a fool if he discredits you so soon. My fairy companion's chirping becomes increasingly stern this time. But you need to get yourself together. You must remain steadfast and strong when facing the detective. Don't permit your voice to falter when presenting your findings. I know I can't let myself unravel at this point. It's just that he never solicited my opinion quite in this manner. A professional insight, no less. All the more reason to be as calm as you can be. Maintaining your composure is essential to delivering a persuasive argument. But no matter what happens, at least you know you tried. At the end of the day, he's the one who needs to solve this case. You're right. Of course you are. I'm not a detective. I'm simply a professor sharing my perspective. Thank you, Oz. You're always talking me off the ledge. Then somebody knocks on the door. That's my cue to sail past your window ledge. Best of luck. I whisper a hurried goodbye to my fairy friend. I'll see you tonight, Oz. Once Oz has flown out, I direct my attention towards the door. Come in. My assistant marches in. Professor, you have a visitor. The detective? Minnie nods. All right, send him in. Minnie nods once again and walks out of the room. Theo paces around a little bit after strolling in. He appears quite distracted. He finally stops and opens his mouth. So what have you learned? I take a deep breath. Here it goes. I have to present my findings, or perhaps the most sought-after detective, to perhaps the most sought-after detective in the police force. Theo investigates cases right where the crime scenes unfolded. He's agonizingly familiar with the grit and the grime of the city's darkest recesses. Meanwhile, as a professor, my expertise primarily revolves around the nebulous, the theoretical. I must do my best to stay calm and collected, just as Oz suggested. I've read the case files. Victims' odd behavior shortly before death could be due to hypnotic spells from fairies. The fourth victim went to the police station, but before she said anything, it seems she saw something that scared her away. What if she saw something not human? And the manner of death, he interrupts me before I can finish. I have no time for assumptions. The papers telephoned our department this morning, said they found out about some of these deaths. So that's why he looked so agitated. The chief is preparing a statement for tomorrow regarding this, so I'll just cut to the chase. Is there fairy involvement? Yes, I'm certain of it. I can tell his interest is piqued. However, I'd like to first lay out the basics since I'm pretty sure you've discarded the things I've told you in the past. He grumbles as if in admission of my statement. So far, we've identified 3 classes of fairies: warrior, scribe, and parasitic fae. Warriors have strong offensive magic. Scribes' magic tends to be defensive, and parasitic magic is, well, parasitic. We Faeologists have developed a tool called Blacklight to detect traces of Fae magic. It can even detect through photographs if the magic is especially strong. And it's helpful for Gordon Ramsay to then go around into hotels. Oh God, what's this? What is this stain? Oh my God, it's like a mosaic of semen. Warrior magic glows red, scribe magic blue, and parasitic magic shines purple. Oh, so I did not see that part. Okay. In that case, yeah, it was both scribe marks on the photos that we analyzed with the blacklight. I found that seemingly fairies of one specific class are behind this. Which one is the culprit? They're the parasitic class. What's the evidence? The blood. How does this prove parasitic involvement? I slot the blood sample beneath the blacklight to show the magic traces. You see, it glows under the blacklight. I can see the purple traces, but what about this red glow? I'm taking a moment to collect my thoughts. You're right, I must have missed it.
What else you got? How does this prove parasitic involvement?
I recall that there are no magic traces on the crime scene photographs, but rather on the family photographs. I set down the crime scene photographs and hover the black light on them one by one. Can you see this glowing sigil on some of the victims' left hands?
Yes, I can see it. I thought parasitic magic was supposed to be purple.
He's right, the sigils are blue, and they are protective boons from the scribe. You're right, I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, I swallow a lump and rising in my throat.
Clearly you haven't been thorough in your investigation. Either you're missing important things or you just don't take this as seriously as I thought.
But I do take it seriously. If I could just reinvestigate. It's hard to get any sentences out of my mouth. No words of mine could ease the way he sees me now.
It doesn't matter. We're running out of time. I couldn't find proof of it being unusual drugs or poisons either. Even the most atypical drugs don't cause this kind of bizarre hallucinations. No poisons could turn the whole body into hardened bones.
His eyes narrow on me, full of quiet accusations.
Honestly, I can't believe this. You've dedicated many, many years to the study of forensic Faeology. And this is all you had to show for it?
What are you?
I know you're clever, capable, competent, but you ought to consider changing your field. You're not cut out for forensics.
I feel like I'm starting to see red. I can't believe he's bringing up my profession this way. I know I messed up, but you just crossed a goddamn line. He knows I tried my best given the limited time, but he just keeps hammering away. Okay, so I should have picked scribes. Because if the boons run out, then maybe there's some kind of drawback to the boons running out. But, like, they were changelings, and I don't know. It hits me all over again how easy it is for him to make me feel really small.
I'm just laying down the facts.
You're being a dickhead. He says it so nonchalantly, as if he doesn't see the effect of his opinion on me. I can't do this anymore. My anger is beyond containment. I never want to see you again. Get out.
Fine by me. I don't plan on ever coming back to this office anyhow.
Upon picking up the box of evidence, Theo turns to leave. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. He slams it. I find myself striding restlessly in my room, seething with frustration. Perhaps this is for the best. After all, there is a reason I walked away, and it's all coming back to me. As I was steadying my breaths to calm down, I realized something. I haven't explained Dr. Radford's findings on the blood samples, how it could be fairy blood, and the significance of the scribe sigils on prominent families. She gave me additional information too, on the victims as well as the popularity of the makeup. I didn't have the chance to tell him all that. Well, so be it. I'm not going to write him or telephone him. Perhaps I'll just write an anonymous letter to the homicide department. But first, I ought to finish grading the assignments I had neglected yesterday. It's been an hour and a half since I forced myself to get back to work, yet my anger hasn't subsided. Then it strikes me. I'm no more angry at Theo than I am at myself. How did I fail this? Why wasn't I thorough enough? Still, that doesn't give him the right to talk to me like that. I bury my face in my hands as I've realized that I've merely been spinning in circles. Professor, is this a bad time? Yeah, I thought I was thorough. I feel like I got plenty of info to at least say that it involved Faeology, but I guess I must have missed stuff. Like, again, I'm not used to visual novels and mystery games of this type, so forgive me for not, I guess maybe I wasn't thorough enough. Oh well. I look up at her in shock. When did she get in? I knocked, then waited for a minute. Then it occurred to me that perhaps he didn't hear me. Oh, sorry. My mind is more than a little preoccupied. The detective had an intensely brooding expression when he left. I figured that the meeting didn't go well. I can stay longer today if you need to talk. Thanks, Minnie, but I'm not sure about talking. But I could use some company. Of course, Professor. Would you like me to fetch us a bottle? Sure. Any preference? Whichever bottle is biggest. Or whichever has the highest alcoholic content.
Oh, so this has multiple endings. Wow. All right, well, that was Death and Faeology. So, Yeah, really cool premise. I wish I was more thorough. I didn't realize there were multiple endings to this demo, but I guess I got the one where we just kind of turned to wine because we weren't thorough enough. Yeah, my bad on that. But otherwise, I like the concept. Really cool ideas here. And I like the ideas of having both chemistry and more supernatural elements be, I guess, married into this idea of investigating murders. Really cool idea. So, if what you saw intrigued you, please go give this a wish list. The date for the release on this, I believe, said coming soon. Or let me double check on it real fast. Because I remember I saw this game on Blue Sky, I think, and I got really intrigued at the notion of like, oh, invest like Fae mythology and stuff. Fae mythology being used in an investigative game. That sounds fun. Okay, no, to be announced. So yeah, to be announced. So this game does not really have any release window at this time, but if you're interested in this demo, please give it a try and see which ending you might be able to get with it. So yeah, cool game.